Hello, everybody, and welcome to Responsible AI in Action with the Responsible AI Institute, where we are speaking with some of the leading voices in responsible AI. I'm very excited. We have Evi Fuelle joining us today. Evi, thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Patrick. It's great to be here.
It's been so exciting to see Credo AI emerge in the responsible AI space and really become a leader in this space as well. Really a pioneer for a wide variety of initiatives in responsible AI, AI governance, and it's really been a great opportunity for us to be able to collaborate and feature your leadership in responsible AI. You are, of course, the global policy director at Credo AI. And so I'm wondering if you could share with our listeners just a little bit about the organization and also why the work that you're doing is so essential as AI continues to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you for having us. We're very excited to have had this partnership with Responsible AI Institute and grateful for the work that you're doing in this space. It's really essential. I think in particular, in my role as global policy director, we talk a lot about the flywheel between research and academia, enterprises that are deploying AI in practice, and government and policymakers. So I think both in my role, but also for the Responsible AI Institute, this is something that we have an interest in keeping going and making sure those conversations continue because it's really essential to the work of AI governance. I think for people who have been in this field for some time, there's a common phrase that every stakeholder needs a seat at the table. So I think it can't be overestimated how much that we have to keep this conversation going. We have to continue to have all of those stakeholders as a part of the AI governance journey. So that's a lot of what I do in my role at Credo AI. I lead our policy team and I translate policies and regulations into product and help develop our policy philosophy on AI governance. But that's also informed by the work of our product team, our research team, our engineering teams, where we talk about what's working in practice as enterprises deploy both traditional machine learning and generative AI in terms of the requirements that they're being asked to do for safety testing, transparency reporting. And we share a lot of that experience and learning back to the policymaking community, along with cutting edge research and more findings from the academic community about what could be done to introduce more transparency and benchmarks into the ecosystem at large. So it's very much a translation role, very much bridging different communities. And that's what makes the work so exciting. And it's really integral to what we're doing overall with our software platform, the Credo AI, the Responsible AI Governance Platform, which is our main product. And we work with enterprises that are developing and deploying AI. We help them to do this responsibly at scale.
Yeah, it's the work that Credo AI is doing is so essential, especially as AI continues to advance and enterprises are in this process of just trying to figure things out. Thankfully, because of organizations like Credo AI, they're able to figure out, okay, what are the next steps? What do I need to know as I implement AI governance within my organization? And of course, that goes alongside all this AI regulation that we're starting to see come out. I'm wondering if you could share your insights on that a bit. AI governance at the state, federal, global level, which are driving organizational changes at enterprises. Of course, we have so many states that are proposing bills like California with the SB 1047, Colorado, Utah, many others. And meanwhile, all this time, we're having the EU leading in AI regulation with many more global regulations in the works. So I'm wondering if you could just share with us, like, how do we regulate AI governance across states? And how can we ensure that AI regulation in the United States functions across state borders, both nationally as well as globally?
Yeah, a big question, I think, Patrick, but a good one, and one that we talk about quite a bit at Credo AI. So I think there are many different ways that regulators are approaching this, and I couldn't really speak to the best way or the most perfect way that it should be done. But I think that we can distill common risks that are of concern to regulators, both here in the United States and also in the European Union and globally, and extract from that different approaches that have been taken in multiple jurisdictions to try and address some of those risks. So I think we have seen a lot of commonality on high risk AI use cases. So thinking about uses of AI, particularly in sectors such as financial services or insurance or education, employment. There's a lot of focus on this. You mentioned Utah. Utah has done a lot of thinking about generative AI use for healthcare, in particular mental health chatbots. And then in California, SB 1047, as you mentioned, is a little bit more focused on systemic risk posed by large language models, and thinking about uh, potential ways to do pre-deployment safety testing and post-deployment safety testing for those really large and powerful models, and a more general approach thinking about the systemic risk category. And then we have the EU AI Act, and it's very focused on all of the high risk sectors, some of those which I already mentioned, but really how to introduce transparency and accountability throughout the value chain and assigning some pretty specific liability to different entities in that value chain. But one thing we talk about a lot at Credo AI is what can an enterprise do in a world where you have all of this regulation emerging. It's difficult to track, it's difficult to understand, and you're trying to capitalize on the efficiency gains that are happening with the deployment of AI. So we talk about the common ground in AI regulation, and I think it can really be distilled into about 7 common principles. We've seen these principles in things like the European Union AI Act, but also in things like the White House executive order, which asked the Office of Management and Budget to come up with procurement guidance on AI. So in that procurement guidance from the OMB, we've also seen a lot of these principles. The first would be a registry or an inventory of AI use cases. That's pretty common requirement. AI system testing, human oversight, the ability to have some type of human oversight, human in the loop, human over the loop, human under the loop. We've seen all these concepts also in things like the ASEAN guidelines, independent evaluation, AI impact assessments, some form of public notice or transparency, and ongoing risk management. So I would say those are the common principles that we see in almost every jurisdiction that most enterprises should be thinking about when they're designing their AI governance at the enterprise level.
I certainly resonate with what you mentioned before, that enterprises certainly have a lot to keep track of, a lot of emerging regulation coming out. Thankfully, there's organizations like Credo AI who are able to help enterprises with that. Kind of a follow-up question I had to that was, given all the regulation that's coming out, where is the best place for enterprises to start with all of this?
I think one of the best places to start is certainly an inventory or registry of how and where you are deploying AI. If you're an enterprise, it's the most common element that's overlooked. And it's a really critical one to be able to systematically explain this is how and where I'm using AI and deploying it. This is the first requirement we see in all regulations. So I think it's a really good start. Definitely, if you have the capability, great to start looking at investing in tooling and investing in staff that can make sure that this is addressed at an enterprise level. So I think one of the things that we have seen not work at the enterprise level is the appointment of someone who maybe doesn't have insight into the rest of the organization, who's responsible for making sure that the company is deploying AI responsibly at the enterprise level. So we would want to make sure that there's a buy-in from every stakeholder at the organization into how to inject transparency to the use of AI throughout.
Avi, I really appreciate these insights a lot. I'm sure that our viewers are going to be walking away from this conversation with some actionable guidance from you, as well as the Credo AI team by extension. I can't thank you enough for taking the time for joining us. And I also just really appreciate the work that you're doing in this space. It's because of leaders like you that the rest of us are able to start to think critically about how AI is being used presently, and then also how it's going to be implemented in the future as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm wondering if you could share with our listeners where they could find out more information about you, your work, as well as Credo AI.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patrick. Very kind of you to say. And as I said in the beginning, it really does take all of us. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. I really appreciate the work of the Responsible AI Institute in this field as well. For more information, you can go to credo.ai, credo.ai, our website, and check out our product, see the team there. And for more information about me, it's also all on the website or my personal LinkedIn as well.
Wonderful. Well, I'll make sure to include the links to those various resources in our show description. So, viewers, all you have to do is scroll down, click those various links provided. AV, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thanks, Patrick.